Hey, how's it going, folks? My name is Jose Garcia, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can make a custom milling template. So let me give you a scenario here. Let's say that you're at a machine shop, and of course, you have 10 different machines. One of them is a 3-axis, the other one is a 5-axis. You got a turning, mill turn. You have all sorts of different machines, right? And obviously, they all use different tools, different setups. So you want to create a template that can automate some of this process for you, right, in the CAM environment. Let's say you are going to make a 3-axis milling template for a Mori, and the Mori has 3 tools, right, that you use all the time in a certain holder and in a certain number, and you are tired of doing that every single time you create a new CAM part. I'm going to show you how to make this template right now. The first thing you need to do is you need to create a new part file here. Okay, so I'm working with inches. That's what I'm going to go with. And let's go ahead and give this a name. So I'll call this the 3-axis milling template. Okay. Now I'm not, there's absolutely no reason why I'm using underscores. I'm just a longtime Creo user, and that's the reason why I use underscores, right? So 3-axis milling template, okay? It's just a normal part file. Go ahead and put it somewhere where you'll remember, and then go ahead and hit OK. So now, once you're here, you're going to engage in the manufacturing environment. So I'll go ahead and hit Control-Alt-M there. Okay, and as you can see, I already had one in here, but if I look up on the top, these are the default templates, and they're actually pretty good to kind of build off of, all right? So you would select the template that you are going to essentially build your machine out of, right? So in this case, since I'm doing 3-axis milling, I would just go ahead and choose planar. If you're doing a template for a lathe, you might want to do turning, right? And of course, there's multi-axis for 5-axis milling, so on and so forth. I'll go ahead and choose mill planar here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, as you can see, the mill planar template is pretty bare, but it's a good building block. So let's say that, we want to customize this program name. I'll go ahead and give this a different name. Let's say that I find myself renaming it a lot to G54, right? So we'll do that. Let's create another program, right? So let's say we have to flip the part over. That's going to be G55. So we want to, get that out of the way. I'll go ahead and type in G55 there, just like that. And that's perfect. So you can see now we have 2 programs in the program order view. Perhaps the most interesting one, though, is the machine tool view. Okay, so we need to go ahead and bring in the tools that are going to be on this machine, right? So I'll go ahead and hit Create Tool here, just like that, and I'll retrieve some tools from the library, all right? So I'm just going to fly through this one here. This is stuff that you should already know. But let's say that I want to bring in multiple tools, right? All you have to do is hold the Control key while selecting your tools. So let's say that on my particular machine, I have a 3/16 end mill, a 1/4 inch end mill, and a 1/2 inch end mill, right? And I want to use those in this template every single time I start a CAM part. So go ahead and hit OK on that once you select your tools. And that's it. You can just go ahead now and assign the correct tool number. So I'll double click on these guys here, right? My tool number is 1, my H value is 1, and then of course you just keep going for the other tools. 2, 2, and finally 3 and 3, okay? Just like that. The next one is going to be our geometry view, okay? And let's say that for the purposes of this, example, the workpiece winds up being the parent all the time, and of course, we have 2 MCSs, one for G54 and one for G55, right? I've got to flip the part over and mill it out. Okay, if that's the case, all I have to do is rearrange this, and of course, I will rename this. The fixture offset would be 54 there, and the fixture offset for this one would be 55, right? Of course, I would rename these as well, so I'll just call this G55 MCS, right? And this one up here would be G54 MCS, right? Just like that. So that's good. And of course, the last one, depending on if you use them, is the machining method views, okay? So let's say that for my roughing machining method view, I want to leave behind 30 thou. The semi-finish, let's say that that's going to be 10 thou, just like that. And of course, the mill finish I'll leave alone. You can make another one if you want. The choice is entirely yours, okay? Now, the only thing that we really haven't messed with is the operations themselves, okay? So, there are two things about the operations that you need to be aware of. The first one is you can classify them as an object to be used as a template. And then you can also classify them as an object that will be created if it has a parent created. So in other words, if you have that option turned on when you import the templates into your CAM environment, those operations will live in the navigators already. You will not have to create them automatically, okay? So let's say that I come up here to create operation and, I find myself giving the operator a message all the time, right? It's the same message every single time. So I'll just go ahead and do a mill control here and I'll give this a parent, right? So the program is going to be G54. The tool, I guess I'll leave it on none for now. The geometry is going to be, let's say G54 MCS, and the method, for now, I'll just leave it on method, okay? Mill control, right? It's just going to be, let's call it op message, and then go ahead and hit OK. Of course, I'll go ahead and enter my user-defined event here. Let's say that we're going to do an operator message there, right? So let's just type in test, for example, and then go ahead and hit OK. All right. So now you can see that the operator message has a parent. Okay, so that's good. That's what we want. All right. And let's say that we find ourselves using the floor facing without wall. So we're going to do the same thing, G54. This time, though, let's give it, for example, 1/2 inch end mill. And the method, let's just say that it's going to be a finishing method. Okay. Same exact thing. I'll just go ahead and hit OK on that. You don't have to fill anything out because there's no geometry here. And finally, let's say that there's one command that I don't use too much, but once in a while, I do want to have easy access to it, okay? For that one, we're going to go ahead and bring in something from another type. So let's say we want to bring in an object from the contour section, okay? Let's say that I want to use adaptive milling in my template, all right? So I'll go ahead and, same exact thing, right? You actually could leave it on none if you want, right? But, to keep with the program, we'll go ahead and give these the same parents other than the method. We'll go ahead and just choose rough. There's absolutely no reason why I'm doing that, right? It's just so we can have consistency in this template, right? We have everything under one parent. So our template at this point is pretty much ready to rock and roll. There are just a couple things that we need to do. And this is the way that I've been doing it. If you know a better way, or if you find that you discover a better way, I would love to hear about it, okay? But the way that I do it is I go over into each and every single little navigator, okay, or view, and I classify each thing individually. So for example, I'm going to go to the program order view, and of course I have the G54 here, right? I don't select the children, I just select the items that pertain to the view themselves, which in this case are just operations. So I'll choose both of these guys, the G54 and G55 program. I'll right click on them, I'll go into object and then template settings. Now there are two options here. Object can be used as a template and create if parent is created. Okay, so if you have this button turned on, but the second button turned off, when you hit the Create Program view, you will see these as an object to create. Okay, but if you had this option turned off, then they will not show up in your navigator. Okay, so for me, I like to have these both show up when I create my template or when I create my CAM part, so I'm going to leave these on. Okay. Let's go over to the machine tool view over here. I'll go ahead and select all of these as well, right? I'll right click on the tools. I'll go to object and I'll go ahead and hit template settings. I will turn both of these on as well. All right, so let's go ahead and hit OK on that. Then we have to go to the geometry view. All right, so let's go ahead and select the geometries. Same exact thing. Template settings, make sure those are on. That's good. And finally, the last one are the methods, right? So we'll do that very quickly. Object, template settings, and I'll go ahead and hit OK. Now, the only ones that we have not done are the operations themselves, okay? So for that, let's go over into the geometry. You can do this from any view. It doesn't matter which view you're in, okay? So I'm just going to go to the geometry view here. Now, these two, the operator message and the floor-facing operation, I do want them to show up when I use this template. Okay, so I want them to show up in the navigator already as a child to G54. So I select both of these. I can right click on them and then go to Object and Template Settings. Okay, in this case, I'm going to turn on Create if parent is created. Okay. However, the adaptive milling, as an example, right? Let's say I don't use it too much, but I do want easy access to it when I hit this create operation button. I don't want it to live in the navigator, but I do want it to live in the create operation. So I'll right click on it, I'll go to object, and I'll go to template settings. I will classify it as an object to be used as a template, but I will leave this option turned off, okay? Which means when I bring in this template from my CAM part, it will not show up in the navigator, okay? At this point, the template is ready to roll. All you have to do is save it, which is what I'm gonna do right now. And now you can close your template, okay? So now let's actually open up a part that, let's say I want to manufacture, right? Something like this as an example, right? Although this would probably be better for sheet metal, but don't even get me started, okay? Nonetheless, let's go ahead and activate the manufacturing environment. So I'll go ahead and hit Control-Alt-M there. And we need to browse for our template, okay? So I'll hit this little browse for a setup part there. There's my 3-axis milling template. Okay, now you see what's cool about this, right? If you're working natively, you can have a directory somewhere where you just, bring it in, no problem, right? You can have as many as you want, and the changes can be very quick, right? You don't have to just sit there and wait for the admin to make changes. You have control over this. It's just a normal part file, okay? I'll go ahead and hit OK on that once I select it. So there's my 3-axis milling template that I just worked on. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Give it a couple of seconds, and boom, okay? If I look over here at my program order view, you can see that G54 and G55 are there. The operator message and the floor facing are there, right, just as we specified. The machine tool view displays the exact same thing right here. See that? Those are our tools, and of course the tool numbers are still there. See that? And of course the geometry view is indeed the same, and the methods as well. Now you're probably wondering, well, what happened to the adaptive milling? Didn't we classify that as an object to be used as a template? Yes, we did, and it is actually up here in the create operation. Okay, you can see that the type is our custom milling template there, and it is living in here, the adaptive milling operation. Okay, so that is how you make a custom template to make your life very easy with CAM. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You need some training, feel free to reach out as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you. It definitely helped me to learn about this because it made my life very easy. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.